Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivedicaya Nishchatrashata Shri Srimad Bhagavatam Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivedicaya Nishchatrashata Shri Srimad Bhagavatam Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Yamunamai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Garuḍa. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Eighth Canto, Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creations, Chapter 4, Gajendra returns to the spiritual world, Text 13. Please repeat after me. Evam Vimokshya Gaja Yuta. Okay. Pam Abja Nabas Tinapi Parshada Katim Kamitena Yuktaha Gandharva Siddha Budhar Bhagiyamana Karmadbhutam Swa Bhavanam Gurudasano Got. What's the Evam Vimoksha Gajayuta what is it? Evam Vimoksha Gajayuta Pam Abjanabas Tena Piparsha Dagatim Gamitena Yuktaha Gandharva Siddha Vibudar Upagiyamana Karmadbhutam Sabhavanam Garuḍa Gat. Evam Vimoksha Gajayutapam Abjanabas Tena Piparshada Gatim Gamatena Yuktaha Gandharva Siddha Vibudar Upagiyamana Karmadbhutam Sabhavanam Garuḍa Gat. Evam Vimoksha Gajayutapam Abjanabas Tena Piparsha Dagatim Gamitena Yuktaha Gandharva Siddha Vibudar Upagiyamana Karmadbhutam Sabhavanam Garuḍasano Gat. Garuḍa? Translation, word by word. Evam, thus, vimoksha, delivering. Gajendra, the king of the elephants. Gajendra. Abjanabha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose navel sprouts a lotus flower. Tena, by him, Gajendra. Api, also. Parshada Gatim, the position of the Lord's associate. Gamitena, who had already gotten. Yuktaha, accompanied. Gandharva, by the denizens of Gandharva Loka. Siddha, the denizens of Siddha Loka. Vubadai, and by all great learned sages. Bhagiyamana, were being glorified. Karma, whose transcendental activities. Adbhutam, all wonderful. Swabhavanam, to his own abode. Garuḍa asanaha, sitting on the back of Garuda. Agat, returned. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Upon delivering the king of the elephants from the clutches of the crocodile and from material existence, which resembles a crocodile, the Lord awarded him the status of sārūpya-mukti. In the presence of the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, and the other demigods who were praising the Lord for his wonderful transcendental activities, the Lord, sitting on the back of his carrier Garuda, returned to his all-wonderful abode and took Gajendra with him. Purport. In this verse, the word vimoksha is significant. For a devotee, moksha or mukti, salvation, means getting the position of the Lord's associate. The impersonalists are satisfied to get the liberation of merging in the Brahman effulgence, but for a devotee, mukti, liberation, means not to merge in the effulgence of the Lord, but to be directly promoted to the Vaikuntha planets and to become an associate of the Lord. In this regard, there is a relevant verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8. Tatte nukampam shushamikshamano ujana eva makritam vipakam hridvagvapur vadadam namaste jivetayo mukti padesabdayabak. One who seeks your compassion and thus tolerates all kinds of adverse conditions due to the karma of his past deeds, who engages always in your devotional service with his mind, words, and body, and who always offers obeisances unto you, is certainly a bona fide candidate for liberation. A devotee who tolerates everything in this material world and patiently executes his devotional service can become mukti padesabdayabak, a bona fide candidate for liberation. The word dayabak refers to a hereditary right to the Lord's mercy. A devotee must simply engage in devotional service, not caring about material situations. Then he automatically becomes a rightful candidate for promotion to Vaikuntha Loka. The devotee who renders unalloyed service to the Lord gets the right to be promoted to Vaikuntha Loka, just as a son inherits the property of his father. When a devotee gets liberation, he becomes free from material contamination and engages as a servant of the Lord. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.6. Muktir hitva yata rupam sārūpena vivastitati. The word swarup refers to sārūpya-mukti, going back to Godhead and remaining the Lord's eternal associate, having regained a spiritual body exactly resembling that of the Lord, with 4 hands holding the Shankha, the Chakra, Gada, and Padma. The difference between the mukti of the impersonalist and that of the devotee is that the devotee is immediately appointed an eternal servant of the Lord, whereas the impersonalist, although merging in the effulgence of the Brahmajyoti, is still insecure and therefore generally falls again to this material world. Arurya Krichena Param Padam Tata Padantyado Nadrita Yushmat Angayaha. From the Bhagavatam 10:2-32. Although then personalist rises to the Brahman effulgence and enters into that effulgence, he has no engagement in the service of the Lord, and therefore he is again attracted to materialistic philanthropic activities. Thus he comes down to open hospitals and educational institutions, feed poor men, and perform similar materialistic activities, which the impersonalist thinks are more precious than serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anadrita Yushmat Angayaha. The impersonalists do not think that the service of the Lord is more valuable than serving the poor man or starting a school or hospital. Although they say Brahma Satyam Jagan Mitya, Brahman is real and the material world is false, they are nonetheless very eager to serve the false material world and neglect the service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Gyanati Padandasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshulanmadatamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karidivacha Lam Pangam Langayate Girim Yakipatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinitadam Bancha Kovdurabishcha Kipasundabhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, translation one more time. Upon delivering the king of the elephants from the clutches of the crocodile and from material existence, which resembles the crocodile, the Lord awarded him the status of sārūpya-mukti in the presence of the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, and other demigods, who were praising the Lord for his wonderful transcendental activities. The Lord, sitting on the back of his carrier Garuḍa, returned to his all-wonderful abode and took Gajendra with him. Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, today's purport. Tate nukampam sushamikshamano. And interesting enough is that he quoted it in yesterday's purport also. So 2 days in a row he quoted this verse. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada even quotes the same verse twice in a purport. I don't know about 3 times, but I know he's done it twice in a purport, emphasizing the importance of the particular verse. So this verse is an extremely important verse that Srila Prabhupada is quoting, and it's from the prayers of Lord Brahma, the 10th canto. This 10th canto chapter 14, I believe it was the last chapter in which Srila Prabhupada, 13 was, oh, okay, 13. 13 is the last chapter that Srila Prabhupada translated and commented on. But in relation to this verse, and the importance of it. In the Nectar of Devotion, there, chapter 10, techniques of hearing and remembering. So if anybody wants some techniques, people are very eager for what's the right technique or advanced technique. So Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada translating his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, chapter 10, techniques of hearing and remembering. There's a section expecting the Lord's mercy. So we'll just read a little bit from this section, short section. And from this we could see the importance of this particular verse that Srila Prabhupada quoted today. Now, of course, when we say see, sometimes when people are trying to understand something and they're not getting it, they say, and someone's trying to explain it to them, then at one particular point they say, "Oh, I see, I understand." So there's different levels of understanding. We could understand to a particular degree the importance of this verse, but the more we could understand the importance of this verse, the better. The more we could see the relevance and the importance of this, the better, this verse. So this is what Srila Prabhupada says in relation to this verse in the Nectar Devotion. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 8, it is said, "My dear Lord, any person who is constantly awaiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him, and who goes on suffering the resultant actions of his past misdeeds, offering your respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible to become liberated, for it has become his rightful claim." So here in this particular pastime, you have this elephant, Gajendra, and he was, in the past, in his last life, he was a great king, King Indrayumna. He was a Vaishnav king. And when he retired, he went to meditate. They say when you go to retire in India, you just head north, go to the Himalayas. So he went to retire, and he was there in his cottage, living a renounced life. Not so easy to do, especially after being such a big king, but he was doing it. And then a sage came, Agastya Muni, and the king didn't receive him properly. And the Agastya Muni, he decided, okay, we're going to teach him a lesson. We're going to curse him. He said, you are not gentle. You did not receive me properly, son. And he cursed him. And he said, may you enter the body of a dull, dumb, that's the words they use, elephant. So that's how he became an elephant, Gajendra. And then he had remembrance of his past life. So interesting, sometimes we see that in the Bhagavatam, like Bharat Maharaj, who became a deer and then he remembered his last life. So in relation to this verse, Gajendra, he was suffering the reactions from his sinful activity of not receiving a great sage properly and being cursed. So he was suffering in that body, the body of an elephant, which means it has a particular mind too, because when there's a body, there's a mind also. So similarly, in material existence, the souls, they take on different bodies, and a particular body, a particular mind, over time, maybe from the beginning or the middle or towards the end or whatever, there's a certain amount of suffering there in a particular body. Some bodies have some bodies are diseased. There's so many different problems. And if we don't have problems with the body, then sometimes we have problems with the mind. And we should understand this to be the result of past activities, the particular mind we have. Some people say, I have a very hard time controlling my mind. This is, due to past activities. We get a particular mind. But just as Gajendra, he waited out and he suffered in a particular way. In other words, he tolerated those things. So similarly, we have to tolerate whatever difficulties come in the path, and our path to Krishna. But coming from the body, coming from the mind, or whatever it may be. There's also external difficulties we have to tolerate. And continue to offer our obeisances to Krishna. We continue to worship Krishna with all of our heart, from the core of our heart. It's not that when there are difficulties coming from the body or the mind or other living entities or any other difficulty, it's not that we curse Krishna. one devotee was telling me I think anyways, maybe his son or someone he knew, I'm forgetting, but they were very angry at God. And, they're going like this, looking up and, how can you do this to me, So cursing, like, how dare you do this to me? I'm an important person or whatever, like. So, but a devotee, they think, okay, well, this is due to my past activities and I should just tolerate it, and actually it could be worse. So Krishna's being very merciful in that way. I deserve worse. So a person who continues in this type of mood says they become eligible for liberation, becomes their rightful claim, just as one who inherits their father's property. The idea is that what does the son have to do? They just have to stay alive. What does the daughter have to do? They just have to stay alive. So similarly, the idea is that we just have to stay alive in Krishna consciousness, which means chanting our Hare Krishna japa rounds and following the principles and trying to spread the Sankirtan movement and so on. And if we continue like that, then we're eligible for liberation. Now, of course, there's different types of liberation. There's sārūpya, we could go onto the same planet, Krishna. Samīpya, we could become an associate. Sārūpya, a similar form, or same form practically. Sarshti, have similar opulences to that Krishna has. And then there's Sayuja, so that Sayuja, merging into the Brahman effulgence, that devotees don't want. Then personalists want that. They want to merge into the effulgence of God. But the devotees, they don't want that. It's considered hellish, because they are always eager to render service to Krishna, and if they're in the Brahman effulgence, there's no service. There's like a light. You're just in the light. There's no service. And as Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport, he takes the opportunity, just like a fighter, right? And when you're in the ring, when you take a good opportunity to take a few good punches, you need, when you see their guards down or something, right, Dharmaraj? He takes he makes some critical remarks in relation to the Mayavadis, that they want to merge into this Brahman effulgence. They want to become God, in other words. That's their idea. But when they merge into this effulgence, they're there, and because there's no personality, there's no activities, they have desires, and therefore they fall back down to this material world. And he says they engage in opening hospitals and opening schools and so on, philanthropic work. And they take this as more precious than serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, man and service to man, or service to women, service to humanity, replaces service to God. That is the problem. So, Srila Prabhupada, for there to be hospitals, it's a necessity. For there to be schools, it's a necessity. But for people to equate that with service to the personality of Godhead, and not only to equate it, because they're not equating it, they're saying it's better. That's the mistake, and it's a big thing still in people's minds. Sometimes they say, "Oh, we just serve humanity, and that's like serving God." No, there's a difference. There's a difference. So that's what Srila Prabhupada's criticizing. He takes a good opportunity. And it's interesting, sometimes when you see Srila Prabhupada's conversations, like I've been reading these conversations Srila Prabhupada had in Venezuela with some metaphysical society and so on. I mean, the person, they're not particularly asking challenging questions. It's not like they're like trying to fight Prabhupada or something, like philosophically. But when I'm reading it, it's just amazing how Prabhupada's he's just like pressing them. He's trying to figure out what they're thinking, because they're kind of agreeing with him. You know, they're yeah, we agree on this and that. But Prabhupada's like pushing further. He's like, what is the self? What is your conception of self? And then he's pushing, what is your conception of God? And you know, what is the goal? And he's pushing, and eventually he brings that out of them, that they have an impersonal leaning. Whereas if he didn't do that, then and the reason he's doing that, trying to bring out that impersonal side to them, you know, what they're really thinking, is that he's trying to dismantle that. He's trying to let them know that this is a wrong idea and that God's a person. So it's merciful. It's not that Prabhupada's just, he's pressing, and I'm sure there's some tension and some agitation there, but he's trying to bring him to a higher realization. So that's what Srila Prabhupada's doing also in this purport. So in relation to the importance of this, because I just read the verse, I actually didn't say what Prabhupada said about the importance of it, so we'll continue the importance of this verse. This statement of Srimad Bhagavatam should be the guide of all devotees. So there's so many verses throughout the Bhagavatam and throughout Srila Prabhupada's books. And of course, all of these verses are guides, but Srila Prabhupada, we don't hear him say this so much about other verses. But he says this about this verse. This statement of Srimad Bhagavatam should be the guide of all devotees. So in other words, when we're wondering what should be our main guide, what's a verse that should guide us? This verse, that, my dear Lord, any person who is constantly awaiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him, and who goes on suffering the resultant actions of his past misdeeds, offering you respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible to become liberated, for it has become his rightful claim. So this mood of not being ungrateful to Krishna, we should be very grateful to Krishna. And this mood of, not trying to curse Krishna, why are you doing this to me? But always offering our obeisances and serving him, even despite all the difficulties. This is the guiding, this is the guide for all devotees, this particular mood. And then Srila Prabhupada expands on that a little bit, which we could read, excerpt from that. A devotee who is not perfectly freed from the resultant action should therefore continue to act in Krishna conscious seriously. Even though there may be so many impediments. When such impediments arise, he should simply think of Krishna and expect his mercy. That is the only solace. If the devotee passes his days in that spirit, it is certain that he is going to be promoted to the abode of the Lord. By such activities, he earns his claim to enter into the kingdom of God. The exact word used in this verse is dayabhak. Dayabhak refers to a son's becoming the lawful inheritor of the property of the father. In a similar way, a pure devotee who is prepared to undergo all kinds of tribulations in executing Krishna conscious duties becomes lawfully qualified to enter into the transcendental abode. So our only solace, that is the only solace, that when impediments arise, we just think of Krishna and we just expect his mercy. And that is a solace for a devotee. Or else we're just, people are just wasting their time. They're just trying to place all types of artificial importance on things that are not important at all. Prabhupada criticizes the so-called politicians and philosophers and this person, that person, and they're building up their big empires and this and that. And over due course of time, their empires, along with the politicians, they're all gone. So artificial importance on things that don't matter. Also, like $90,000, a $90,000 Cheeto that looks like Pokemon. You know about that one? Cheeto? Garuḍa Prabhu's liberated. A Cheeto is, we'll briefly explain this. A Cheeto, it's, there's all these companies that make Lay's, potato chips, pretzels, blah, 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 right? Now, there's one company, they make Cheetos. It's just a small little thing, and it's crunchy, it has cheese on it, some chip, type of thing. So, someone told me recently that somebody wasted their money by buying a $90,000 Cheeto, just one Cheeto, that looked like a Pokemon figure. Pokemon figures, some, video game thing. Yeah, another scam. I was thinking maybe we should have made the Cheeto, we could fix up the temple some more. Yeah, Cheeto. Yeah, good one, Cheeto. And people are criticizing this. Oh, that's why there's so many things to criticize about this, but some people they try to take a jab at the wealthy. That's why the wealthy need to be taxed, right? Because else they're wasting their money, this and that. But the real thing is, ultimately, people need to be educated, or else they are putting so much artificial importance on something like this. It's just absolute. It's really insane, actually. This should be our guiding verse. That, my dear Lord, any person who constantly waiting to cause His mercy to be bestowed upon him, and who goes on suffering the resultant actions of his past misdeeds, offering respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible to become liberated, for it has become his rightful claim. So that's the important thing, not all these other things. Okay. This is the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 14, verse 8. 10:14:8. All right. Is there any question or? Vijay, you have a question?
Vijay Krishna Prabhu is online actually.
He's online, okay.
Yes, I am online, but I didn't prepare a question because while I was hearing your class, I was cooking.
Oh, I see.
Focus on cooking, focus on what you were saying. So when it happens like that, it's difficult for me to concentrate on preparing a question. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. You have any comment?
Well, if I may, because yesterday something weird happened. Is it that, if I may ask, is it that Govardhan Prabhu is present?
Oh, yeah, he's present, all right.
Yes, he was reading from Nectar of Devotion to complete the answer to my question of yesterday, and suddenly the battery of my phone went out, and I was not there the entire time for hearing the end of his answer.
Yeah.
But I just want to apologize because of that.
You're traumatized because of that? Oh, you apologize. Oh, okay.
Sorry? Yes, apologize. And then I went to the recording on YouTube, and I did get the full answer. So I just want to thank him.
Okay, nice. He's here. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any? All right. Okay. Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.